Welcome back. Welcome
Welcome
back
back.
to another episode.
Basic
Here we are
Bishop
again.
for witches. You're back. You came back.
You
Yes.
did it. You guys
Yes.
made it.
You made
Another
it.
week.
That whole, yeah, you did it. You like put up with our last episode and you were
Which
like,
was
you
a
know
shit
what?
show. We know. We
I
know.
know. It's yeah, it was I was thinking about it in like retrospect. I was like, God, that was a messy episode, but it was just so much stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm like, you know what? But it wasn't bad enough that we decided to redo it. We're like, no, that's
Yep.
quality.
You guys
That's
are
a that's a
getting the
podcast
real
for every.
raw stuff.
But you know what? But I've also received like the most compliments on it. It's so funny.
Oh,
I've gotten
that's
three
good.
this week. I mean, that sounds like nothing, but it's like
That sounds no, that
people
sounds awesome.
and like new listeners and that, and they're like, "Oh, I love it." I'm like, "You listen to that episode, and
Like,
you
oh
love that?"
man. Of
Yeah.
all the episodes, that's the first one you had to deal with. Oh, okay. Because like at the end,
Exactly.
I literally was just like, Jessica, we're done now. We're leaving. Bye. so so
I'm sorry,
today
I'm dying. You go ahead.
yeah. So today we are so excited. We get to see the other half of the Empath Sisters, Miss Bev Lazar. Gosh, we are so excited. We've been wanting Bev to come on. Gosh, this is like a couple months in the making. We had talked about this in December that we would hopefully get you on as soon as possible. But it just, you know how life is. Everyone knows that. Life sucks. Life is busy. Things
Yes,
happen.
so busy.
So we're so happy that you're here to join
Yeah,
us.
thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be back. I enjoyed um, the last couple times we've been together. I know because we've also had you and Jess on our
Yes.
episode, and so it's always such a good time to hang out with other sisters who are very much like
Yes.
me and my sister. And
Oh,
so, but even as I know, even in readings, it's like even though people are together, if they're like a duo, you
yeah.
still get to be your individual self. So,
Yeah.
it's so nice. And I feel super honored to be here just on my own, I guess. It is weird though, kind of
Oh, no kidding. You're probably just like,
podcasting
where's
without
Shelly?
your partner. Yeah, it's just the strangest thing. I don't know if you
Oh,
two have had that opportunity yet to be
No.
on podcasts separately, but when you do,
Yeah.
it's really weird. It's just like, what?
Jessica did one episode without me because I was quite sick and I was like, I
I
can't
think I
do
did
it.
a couple solo, like not on other people's up like podcasts, but like on ours
Oh,
individually.
yeah.
And it was like,
Yeah.
I mean, although I like talk to myself freely all the time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was like,
Yeah.
I'm like, it'll just be a quick episode. I'm like an hour later. I'm like, how did I just talk to myself for an hour?
Love it.
Anyways, so I
That was
apologize
so
in
fun.
advance for my coughing fits. Apparently, I'm having those at this moment. So I have a sucker,
Yeah.
but I'll be muted most of this episode. So excuse me.
That's okay.
It's awesome.
No, that's okay.
I feel very strongly Jess is going through some ascension
From all the
symptoms.
shit that her body's going
Oh,
Me?
through.
yes. Oh, yeah. From like your eyes to your ears to your throat to you, you're definitely, I feel like, oh, this is something that is happening for you. You are
Mhm.
definitely kind of opening something up.
I totally agree. It's funny because like over the last like month, I've had and Brittany knows because I've asked her to pull cards for me because I'm like, "Oh, I just like need some answers. I
It's
need some of
awesome.
this. I need some of that. And like I've had some big lessons, I feel like in the last week. Hold on. Didn't mute my bad.
And
So
she
sorry.
also
It's okay. It's okay.
Just dying.
sorry. Apparently it's crazy on my end as well because
Like why?
my
Why would
dog
it
Honey's
be
just like, you know what we need now? Barking.
barking?
Barking.
Borking. She's gonna
They need to
bark.
know I'm here too.
Exactly. Literally.
Honey, it's
But
okay. No.
I with people and this that and the other thing, I just like needed some like clarity,
Yeah.
and I just felt
Yeah.
like I was not getting it. I wasn't, and I was so not upset, but it was like I was just left in this like frustrated state where I
Yeah.
couldn't move past it. Anyways,
Yeah.
in the last like week, I've kind of my eyes have been open to the fact that oh, hold on. Fuck me. So bad.
Talking about ascension and just like, I'm just gonna quickly
I'm gonna
dive in.
mute. Hold
Here's
on a
where we're
second.
gonna rebirth. Her rebirth is happening live on this episode.
I'm gonna rebirth my supper on the carpet. That's what's gonna happen.
Let's
Literally.
hope not.
What is happening? I don't
Oh my
know why
god.
this happens randomly, but like this happened with our one guest, Emily Dexter, where like everything went to hell real fast in our episode where we're like, what is happening? like Honey's jumping at the fucking wall behind me,
Oh my
and then like Jessica's
gosh.
dying, and we're all just like, oh my, like that's when Maria or Colin also joined in,
Colin,
and
or
we're
was
like,
Maria?
what is
Maria sat with
happening?
us, didn't she? Anyways,
Oh yeah,
okay.
she did.
Aw.
Yeah.
But it was, I don't know
Yeah.
what happens when it's like
Yeah.
a lot of energy, but then everything
Everything just shits.
outside
It's like, hey
of
guys,
what our plans are is just like boom,
yeah.
we're
As I'm talking about lessons. Okay, so back to where I was talking about. So yes, in the last like week, I've I've asked for so much clarity, and like I had to generate conversations to get clarity, kind of push myself out of my comfort zone. And then I've come
Okay.
to the term, and and I think this has really helped me, like not close chapters necessarily, but really like expand on myself, is that
Mhm.
sometimes the lesson isn't that's not your lesson. You are their lesson. Do you know what I mean? So
Totally.
like I had
Totally.
to be present in this way, and I had to encounter this person in this way for them to grow. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
it's not that
Yeah.
I needed to further grow. I have been growing. I have been working on my metaphysical self.
Right.
They have their situation, and I'm their lesson. I'm the lesson for them. Anyways,
Totally.
so I
Yeah.
think after coming through that, um, I I was actually like telling my coach guy, like I was like flying high on good feelings. Like I went for a walk, and it was like I could have ran the whole way. I
Mhm.
was so elated. I was just like through this gate of like,
Yep.
yeah. So anyway, so I'm still
It
riding on the
is,
coattail of that, but yeah.
yeah, it is so freeing when you
Yeah.
get to speak your truth and
Mm-hmm.
to like be in that position where that you're so sure of yourself. And it's
Mm-hmm.
just like, I
Yeah.
know that I've grown and I know that I'm at this place. And
Yeah.
I can see with the awareness that I have that I am here in being placed in your journey for a reason at
Exactly.
this moment.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about my work is that's what I've learned also throughout the years is when I agreed to work for Spirit, it was like, okay. And I knew it wasn't about my timeline.
Yeah.
I'm literally working for everybody else's timelines.
Everybody
That's my
else's.
job. And so, and I learned that when I started teaching, when they said you were going to start teaching. And I was like, well, what the heck, like who's going to learn from me? How is this all going to unfold? How that all goes. And
yeah.
I ended up then teaching my first introduction course.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I was like, okay, we'll see like kind of when I'm going to offer that again. And then I just had people that were approaching me and it was almost like, okay. And then it seemed like time, the dates and things, like just how everything lined up. And I could see how, like I was being shown how important it was on their timeline. The
Yes.
spirit showed me that. And it was just so, it was for my knowing, because I was like, I'm gonna have a break, I'll teach again later or whatever. Like do it when I felt in alignment with it. However, they were showing me like that is what's in alignment for me, is
Mm-hmm.
what's in alignment for them. And so that is being of service. And so I was like, okay. So then from then on, I've always just trusted in spirit. So when I teach my courses or when I do anything, that is, I'm just kind of trusting in spirit to kind of lead me that way. And I know it's all about divine timing. Sometimes people will be booked in even, and then it'll change, or I'll be so sick when I wake up, or I'll have such vertigo that I can't even leave bed. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what the heck, and then it'll just line up. And then by the time that person comes back, say they have a reading and like a loved one comes through, there'll be like a message or a sign that comes through in that reading. And they're like, oh my gosh, like, thank God I came today. Cause had I come a couple weeks ago, I wouldn't have never had this experience and I wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
have believed this, or I wouldn't have trusted in this or whatever. Right. And so I've had this time and time again where it's just like, yep, it just confirms to me, and it is it's such an amazing feeling when you're when you get that realization that this is purpose work.
Yes.
And that's part of your
Exactly.
purpose work is when you were in that moment, you're like, I have been growing. I'm in this place and so more sure of yourself and your abilities and who you are and all of that.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like, hey, like you're on your journey and
Yeah.
like, I don't know whether you're going to be a part of that journey or not, but like, I'm here to show you something, whether it's just, I'm a mirror to you
Yeah.
or whatever it might be. But then it's just like, it feels so amazing because you're giving that person the opportunity to grow. And that's what
Exactly.
I love to say to people is like, don't hold your truth, because when you do that, like I know most people are really afraid to say how they feel or
Mhm.
whatever it might be. And I always just say, you know what, you're doing a disservice, honestly, to yourself and to the other people around you.
Yeah.
Because if you just say how you feel, it's just like, hey, about this situation, blah, blah, blah. It made me feel this way. It's not you particularly, but the situation makes me feel this way.
Yeah.
And that's it. And you just kind of like wipe your hands of it, because you just need to get that out of you. You just
Yeah.
need to say that. And it's like, this is just what I am, or how it is, or
Yeah.
however. And
Exactly.
then for the other person, either they'll take it, they'll either understand it, they'll feel it, or they're going to, I don't know, maybe they don't want anything to do with it. That's their choice. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. All you're doing is just going, this is mine. I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
And then it's up to them whether they want to do something with it or not. Everybody has free will.
Yeah.
So you're just giving them an opportunity to make change if they want. And what
Yeah.
you're doing is you're bringing them an opportunity of awareness, and awareness,
Yes.
we can make change. So when you see that and you get to experience it, that's all you really want to keep doing. And
Yeah.
that's why I just encourage people to just like start there. Start
Yes.
there by like speaking your truth. And even if it
Exactly.
feels uncomfortable, it will for sure. But
Yeah.
the more that you do it, I promise you, you're going to feel amazing. It's
Yeah.
so freeing. It feels so good.
I always say that. That's like a thing that I've been saying for years is
Yeah.
like life happens when you're uncomfortable, when you push yourself outside of
Yeah,
that box.
for
And
sure.
like nobody, like there's ugly conversations that need to be had all over, wherever, but it's like the
Always.
important ones that mean the most are worth putting yourself through that hell, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, in that moment to get to the other side. And you're right, like the that it's a hard pill to swallow when
Mm-hmm.
when you have to be somebody's lesson, when you have to like do that, right? It's not easy.
Of course.
And I mean, it could be heartbreaking in a lot of senses, depending on how you wanted it to go. But it is like,
Exactly.
anyways, that was just my reflection is like, I'm glad that I've grown to this pot, like this spot to recognize that I
Mm-hmm.
have grown and able to accept this and like be
Yeah.
proud of myself for how I've done it. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
just a little piece in my puzzle. And you're right. Like I'm
Yeah.
just a little blip on their map or whatever, whatever the case is. But anyways, I'm patting
Yeah.
myself on the back because I've been
Totally.
so happy about that, even
That's
despite
right.
all my illness. But it's like, but it's really been a great new chapter for myself or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever's happening with my body these days,
Yeah.
my
And
whole being.
we are always going to be tested. You
Yes.
also had free will. So
Yes.
you could have chosen to not do anything at all
Yes.
and been
Exactly.
like, yeah, I've been growing and whatever, and just not say
hmm
anything and just let
Yeah.
it continue on the way it's been going.
Yeah.
But you chose to not be afraid. You chose to not stand in fear, and you chose to trust in yourself to
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah.
And you
I,
did. And then it
yeah.
was just like, oh, that feels so good because I was doing something for me.
Yes.
Now you get to
Exactly.
do whatever you want for you.
Exactly. And I had like done cord cutting and stuff. Like I was just like, I was
I've
really in
done so
here. I
much.
was really in my body, like really
Oh,
in my heart. I was wearing it so much. And I just like looking back at like how my body was responding to that too. It was like,
yeah.
it was so heavy. It was so heavy. Anyways, like I said, I tried to like not beat around the bush. And I think had I not been so
Yeah.
like emotionally invested in the situation, it would have been,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? It would have been easier
Yeah.
to just cut myself out of it. And I think in like in other regards with people that I, or whatever, it
Mm-hmm.
probably would have been easier. But because it meant so much to me emotionally that I
Of
like
course.
I couldn't just do it that way. And I'm glad I tried it. I'm glad I
Yeah.
did my cord cutting rituals. I'm glad I tried. I'm
Yeah.
glad it failed for me. I'm glad I what's the word? I'm not glad I failed. I didn't fail, but I'm glad I kind of relapsed in that sense. I allowed it to hurt
Yeah.
me again because then I could really get in there. And there
Well,
you
you
go.
learned the lesson.
I learned the lesson and I'm
It
happy
didn't
about it.
fully, and this
Yeah.
is what a lot of people also think, well, I cut cords and why is this
hmm
still coming up?
Yep.
Because there's still a lesson there that you need to learn.
Haven't learned it yet. Exactly.
Like a
And what you're
new
doing
layer.
is exactly, you're just kind of unlayering, right? And
hmm
so it's like the cord might have been like you cut one piece of it, and now there's one piece that's frayed, but the
Yep.
cord is still there, right? Even if you had to use an
Exactly.
analogy, but it's like, and sometimes they're just cut and they're done. But you also have to
Yep.
remember it comes back to like soul contract too. If it's a
Exactly.
relationship thing where it's
hmm
like, okay, well, you might be done, but the other person might not be done with you
Exactly.
because they haven't learned their lessons
Right.
or gone through whatever they
Yeah.
need to based on this contract that you guys have. But when
Mhm.
you get to have, like, I wouldn't say you relapse, you were continuously moving
Yeah.
forward and
Yes.
you were moving through it and you got to that place where you got to embody it. And
Yeah.
that's the biggest thing that we learn as humans, is that when we're emotional, then we get caught up.
Yeah.
We get caught up in the stuff, we get in the way, and it causes dysfunction on our body.
Yeah.
And this is something I have learned many, many times, and where I try to not get emotionally involved. It's just like, even with my clients, I can't get emotionally involved. It's so hard. I wear my heart is like wide open, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I can't. I have to also protect myself and go, well, this work that I'm doing is not supposed to hurt me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
if I have my gifts and I'm going to use them for good things, then it shouldn't be something that is a burden to me, and it shouldn't be something that is hurting me.
Yeah.
And so therefore I try not to get emotionally involved. It's still hard. I'm a human being
Yeah.
and I'm still going to have emotion. I'm still going to feel, but it's finding that balance. And when we get too emotionally invested, then it can kind of like lead to those things in the body, and it doesn't feel very good,
Yeah.
as you were experiencing by the sounds of it,
Yeah. That's really great that you brought that up, and like how as a professional you have to maintain your own balance in your, your client relationship. But when it comes to your personal, we're going so deep this episode, apparently. Like so
I know, we're just
fucking
like
deep.
diving in.
Like,
Like,
dear
oh,
God, like what is happening? You're like, oh, so now. So anyways,
Sorry.
when it comes to your personal emotions and that, with your things going on in your life, do you know what I mean? Do you find like, do you have a not a rhythm, but maybe like a system of how to like not talk yourself down from reaction, and like, do you know what I mean, or like, or seeing it as a lesson? Like, do you have any steps that you work through prior to imploding? Do you know what I mean? Like, when, at what point do you recognize it as a lesson and not as, I guess, like, how far do you let it go? Does that make any sense at all? I'm just trying to like, I have the, anyways, I saw a therapist on TikTok, and she's like, how do I talk to my clients is how I talk to myself when I have this, like, this too shall pass. Or like,
Right.
is this good for my person? Or is this like, is this going to be positively affecting my life? No. Is it, is it ticking the boxes? Right. So that was her like little method of kind of deconstructing. And she was crying through the whole thing. She was obviously really upset, but it was like,
very upset.
you have to have that chat with yourself. Yeah, go ahead, Brittany. Brittany's gotta go somewhere because apparently that's just how this is going.
So it's going today.
Right. But
yeah.
in your world, what do you do for yourself to recognize that it's a lesson? Or how, I guess. I don't know if that makes sense, because I don't know if it makes any sense. We can cut that out, but I was just like, words.
It makes sense to me, in the sense of I find when I come to a situation like that, I try to really listen to how I feel.
Okay.
I try not to go into my head and go into like a checklist.
Uh-huh.
What do I think about this? What do I think about that? Because that's not my true answers anyway.
No, that's ego.
I don't get anything from the thinking part of it, because the thinking part is always negative. It's always very confusing, never gives you an answer. And so I just try to go with like how I feel, going with my intuition and just trusting that. And I know I've come a long way. I know, back in the beginning, I would get very emotionally caught up, whether it would be in my personal life or it would be with my clients. And I have learned so many lessons through all of that, and gotten to a place where I try not to. And I would say that through that journey, I have gotten to the place where I catch it quicker.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't like affect me. I get emotional about it. I'll react, I get emotional, and then say it lingers, and I'll have, this issue that sticks with me for like a long time. Sometimes it could be years, sometimes it'll be months. And it's like, oh my gosh, like, when are you going to let this go? But these experiences that I've had, I tend to recognize it in my body faster now. So it'll be like, okay, I have this experience, boom. It'll be like, well, how does this make me feel? If it doesn't feel good, or like I need to address it right away. But I also know I need to address it without emotion as much as possible. Because when I get emotional, then the other person is going to get emotional, probably get defensive, take it personal, which then it goes nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's like nothing gets solved. So this is where I just try to go, okay, if the other person is, say, emotional and reacting, I really stay center. I find my center and I just go, okay, stay here and just like have a conversation without emotion. Because that's how I truly want to help that person. If I just get emotional with them, it's not going to do anybody any good.
Right.
You're right. Exactly.
And so I think it just sets them off more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so if I get it, if they're coming to me for whatever reason, whether I'm a part of this situation or not, or they had a situation that happened, they're coming to me and I need to help them because I love to help people. That's what I really, truly love to do. So if I just get emotional and I get involved in it, well, I'm not really helping them. I'm just in the same place that they're in.
Yeah.
And then how is that good for me and my body?
Yeah.
Not good at all.
Exactly.
And that is something else that I've learned that I can't do. And so that's why I try to just use my awareness of going, okay, this is a situation. So even if it were one of my kids or anything like that, and something arises and they're very upset, I just like really find my center. And it's like, how can I help them the best right now? What do they need to hear?
Totally.
How can I pull them into their center? How can I pull them out of their emotion and get them to see it from a different perspective?
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to help them to move forward. But when we're just caught up in this like emotional state, really,
and we, as humans, get there, right? We react like we
Totally.
we do, right? Like I was in my poor mother-in-law. I mean, I don't think she listens to the podcast, but she's welcome to. We had a blowout. Jesus, like, oh my God, Bev, it was so bad. But having gone, it was so bad, but it had to happen. You know what I mean? It was a point where it needed to happen. Unfortunately, it happened the way it needed. It had to happen that way.
It unfolded the way it was supposed to.
Exactly. It was awful. It was ugly. It was awful. But you know, after the dust settled, apologies, you know, all of the things, it was like the reset button we needed. Do you know what I mean?
Of
it
course.
Was like I personally came from a place of anger, and I don't go there ever really. Like I'm never that angry, but I was angry. Anyways, this is last year's issue, but not really. It was like, you know, anyways, but it was like our reset button. We needed to come through that way. She needed to respond the way that she did in her calm manner. As I'm like, it was so awful. I can't, I'm so like ashamed, but it had to happen. It had to happen because I'm a human and I, you know, anyways, I'm
but you didn't
behavior.
hold back though, Jess. You didn't hold back, and it's a good thing.
No.
Otherwise you may have been going forward with regrets, being like, I should have also said
exactly. Whereas like, exactly, it was like no hold bars. And it was like, now everything's on the table and we can move forward with it. And I think our relationship has been able to do so much more than had I just not said anything. Do you know what I mean? And just like tucked it under the rug. It's like, no. Now the doors and windows are open. Do you know what I mean? There's no trapped feelings. There's no feelings of like resentment, or not on my half anyways. I'm sure there isn't on hers because she's pretty easy breezy, but it is like, but right. Like, I feel like you have to react as a human in the circumstances because everybody does naturally, but
totally. And that's also to show you that sometimes when things are happening and you're not speaking your truth and it's happening, it's building, you're going to get hella emotional about it.
Oh, totally.
You get to that point where you are emotional. This is why it's hard for the other person to talk to that person when they're in that state. It's like, whoa, obviously this is really big for you. You know, that you're at this, that you're to this point, you know,
literally.
And when you look at both sides of the reaction, it's like, you also have to remember that you're giving an opportunity. The people are going to react based off of their conditioning.
Yeah.
Right. So if somebody if this is something that's been a theme, or maybe they have a trigger of this person, if people act this way or whatever it might be, they will have that reaction.
Yeah.
But again, you're bringing an opportunity for there to be change.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
You will feel better because you finally said it.
Yeah.
She will have awareness and go, oh, okay, whatever this is, you know, and maybe she won't react right away, but she will take that back and then she will process that.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think we both had a chance to like process and I think, it's been such a better situation for us now.
It creates better boundaries.
Yes.
It creates a mutual respect and understanding, which is really beautiful, because then you can have a much better relationship with each other, knowing that there's a mutual respect. It's just like, this is how I like things. This is how you like things. and that we are two separate people, but
Yeah.
this is how I want things to be. And I need you to respect that. And if you want things to be this way for you, I will respect that.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no longer a guessing game of like, well, they're
No.
showing me that they're great, but they're talking and they're saying this when I'm not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They actually can see there's so much more transparency in the relationship.
Exactly. And like the opportunity for conversation is like so much more open and like I don't want to say forgiving, but it's a safer space. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Whereas like I've regained my mother here. Do you know what I mean? In that sense, we had to get through this ugly, like I said, it was awful, but it needed to happen. It was whatever. Like I cannot even, I don't know. It was like when I birthed Colin, it's like, I don't know who was screaming, but it wasn't me. Do you know what I mean? It was like, right? What? You know, so anyways, so there you go. I've shared so much with you. Oh, Bev, I love you.
Oh.
You open up all my doors. I'm like, so let's just like have a quick therapy sesh, hey? Right?
Yeah, that's okay.
Anyways, my thing.
That's basically how it is for me.
Yeah, I love it.
Pretty
I want to
normal.
let's see. Let's poke your brain about some other things here.
Sure.
Well, I'll ask Bev about you then. So what do you think with her, with all the ailments Jessica's had to deal with the last month?
Yeah.
What would you say, what comes to mind of what she needs to, because we mentioned like ascension, new step.
Yeah.
Is there a message that Jessica needs to hear and to help her get on that way?
You do have
is that okay if I ask that?
Yeah, you do have permission to read me if you want to, like if you needed that. Yeah, Lord knows.
That's
I know
awesome.
I don't go like, you're such a gifted woman, but I never want to think or never want you to think that we're like, oh, Bev's on because she can read us. You know what I mean? Like, that's never
we never want to take care.
But you always have my permission if you need to say something, of course. But
that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I don't know.
I appreciate your permission, because that is something that is that's the only way I work. So I appreciate that you giving me that and to come into your space. So thank you. And I would have to back up and say, no, I don't feel that, you know, that's what you're doing to me is like, oh, let's just get readings. Like, no, I've had those experiences in the past, and you know, I also understand, but I also, it's like that always, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I find that really funny, because even years ago when I would have people that would be my friends who would be like, let's get together. But it was always whenever something was going on in their life. And then it would be like more of like, I felt like, and the feeling is a knowing. And it's like, I just knew that they wanted a reading, as opposed to just like, maybe just let me know how you feel, or can you be my friend and support me in this? And so, but I find that funny. It's like, even if that's your intention, I'm going to know it.
Well, that's exactly
right.
Yeah. I'll pick up on that.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, no, I don't want to. That's how my friendships are, where it's just like, okay, if you want to get together and you're going to dump things on me, I'm just letting you know that at the end of that, I'm going to sit here and listen to you, because I truly care about you and I truly want to help you. However, at the end of you dumping on me, I'm going to ask you, what are you willing to do about it? Because if you're not willing to do anything about it, then I can't do this with you, because then you're just dumping on me, and I can't take that.
Yeah.
Because then all we're just doing is just dumping garbage everywhere. And that doesn't help you, which is what I want to do.
Exactly. And then you can just send them the invoice for the session that you just gave.
Literally. And you can do like
I never do that.
an on-call or like weekends after hours fee. Like, you called me here and there was no wine or cheese. You didn't even bring
food. That's right. What the hell?
You didn't even feed me.
Yeah. So I feel like through the years my friends that I have in my life are like how you gals are. It's like there's that mutual respect. I feel that, where it's like, I don't feel you crossing my boundary, because I can feel when somebody's invading in my space. So I can even feel it when somebody's looking in. I was doing that once I was lying there. One of my students was practicing a reading, and they had the whole week to do it. And so I was like, okay, you have my permission. And I don't know, I was doing something on a Thursday. We were meeting back on a Sunday, and I was doing something, and I could feel somebody going like this, like almost like opening up my bubble and like peeking in. And I was like, okay, one of my students is reading me right now. It's coming in.
That's so neat.
Oh my
Anyway, so
God.
yeah, so it's like I do understand it. But okay, let's get back to your
Yes.
ascension here. So I feel very much like when we first got on, and this has been kind of going on, and so it's now your ears, it's like your eyes, and there's like things that are running, and you're coughing, and so other than that, I think those are the only
And just
symptoms I
before
feel
you
like.
go on, to clarify, for
Yeah.
those who have not been on the saga, this is like a nearly 4-week thing, literally.
Yeah.
Anyways, so I don't
The
know.
ongoing joke is Jessica's allergic to Ireland because
Ireland, yeah.
she hasn't caught a break since she moved.
It's like since I think actually my 90 days in Ireland is like coming up soon. So it's been at least 90
shit.
days. I wish I was kidding, but like causing. Anyways, go on, Bev. I'm so sorry to
Oh, that's awesome.
some background.
Well, that will just add to everything I was going to say anyway. But I felt already prior to you leaving to Ireland, I felt that you were being called there anyway.
Yeah.
And I know you know that. And
Yeah.
so I very much felt, and I feel like I said this before to you maybe, or maybe it was just a feeling that I had and I didn't share it, or a knowing, but I felt very strongly that once you got there, things were going to happen for you. You were going to have some experiences for that reason, because you're being called there. And a lot of times we will be called to places for a reason, because it's part of our growth. It's part of something that needs to happen, whether it's activations that are happening for you, codes that are coming in for you, it's being back on that land that you need to be at, or it's the place or the experiences that you're going to have there for your growth, yada, yada, yada. So I feel very strongly that when you got there, this is what was going to happen to you. Not necessarily like you were just going to be sick and suffering. That's not what I mean. But I meant that I felt very strongly you were going to have a lot of ascension symptoms, because there was going to be a lot of things I felt that were going to be opening up for you. But in order for things to open up, things have to unlayer. And so you're going to have these experiences that are uncomfortable, but it's only because you're growing. And there's things that are being activated within you. And this is why it's your eyes, your ears, it's your truth. It's for you to hear your truth, see your truth, and speak your truth. And you need to also feel it. And this is all of the things that are happening within you that need to be moving. They need to be, there's like old layers that need to come out in order for that new higher vibration to come in.
Yeah. Okay.
There will be a lighter day for you. You will get there.
But and I know that.
I
and I
have to come back
truly
here to
know
get
that.
later day.
Right? Brittany's like, and move back home. Yeah.
I know.
No, I feel that. And like, even as you're like talking, like I'm like literally just envision myself like shaking, like, and like little shards of things are coming off of me, because it's like not the old, but shedding my skin. We haven't pulled cards yet, but I definitely was like, I betcha I'm gonna pull a card that's about this later. But anyways, we'll get there. Yeah.
You betcha.
No, that's crazy.
And it's just for you to, your team is communicating, and you are experiencing needing to hear things, and you're needing to see things through a different lens, and you're needing to say different things to people, because it's also what is going to come through in the vibration of what you're saying. It's no different than when I'm speaking. Even when I'm speaking right now with both of you, there's codes that are within everything that I'm channeling that others will hear, that will resonate with them, and that will also help them. And so that's kind of what you're doing. That's what we're all doing all the time, is like, we're kind of all spirit beings sharing messages
love it.
all the time. And you're just, I went through the same thing. I've been actually many times, but last year, we're 2023, so 2022. So
was that like your
2021
rebirth?
and 2022. Sorry. Yeah, literally. It was, oh my gosh, metaphysically, I would be presenting, I was sick, and I was not even sick. Even if I'd go for acupuncture, she's like, you're not sick, but why are you presenting? Like, why is it like you have ear aches and you have like all these things going on, but yet like you literally are not even sick? And I'm like, I know. And I have had many readings last year and the year before of where it was like, there was lots of downloads that were coming in. There was lots of information that was coming in. It was just coming in. And then I was just like, I was not saying anything. And, my sister even was one of the people that said this to me. She had given me Reiki, I think January or something. This was the year before. And after the session, she was like, Bev, like, they're telling me like you've got so many downloads and like you're doing nothing with them. Like you are, and I'm like, like I knew that. I purposely chose to not. That's my free will. I chose to not do that. So I even held myself back for a year, right? In that sense of like, no, I'm not doing this. And it was hearing my truth. I was seeing it, I was hearing it, I just wasn't speaking it.
Yeah.
And so therefore it was causing an imbalance. And so when I went for that one acupuncture appointment, she when she said that to me, like, you're presenting sick, but you're not. And I'm like, no. And it's not like her to say these kind of things to me, like how I am. And so I was laying on the table and she's needling, around my forehead and my ears. And she was also like working on my throat and my heart chakra. And oh my gosh. And then she just literally, I knew spirit worked through her again. And she just said, I don't even say these things, but she goes, I feel like I just need to say to you, like, it's like you're not saying what you're hearing, or you're not hearing what they're saying to you. And I was like, say no more. I already know. Like, I have heard this over and over, but the message keeps coming in until I'm ready to fully go, okay, I'm surrendering. And that's what I did. Then I just had to surrender and say, like, fine, that's it. And that's why now that is all shifted out.
Yeah.
And now I have completely shifted the vibration that I have. And now I'm just kind of coming into that end of those chapters, which will kind of take me till the end of March. And then I'm just going to switch into another vibration. And this is also why I started, I was going to be doing my mentorship program with people, which is like kind of like the intermediate and advanced. And I totally get that. And I know just a couple of weeks ago, Spirit had said to me, after Spirit called this mentorship membership, that's what they told me to call it. And I was like, okay, mentorship membership program. Wow, what a tongue twister. I was like, I don't like it at all. But anyway, I will just do it. I follow what you say. And then when they said, you're going to start on April the 5th. And I was like, why April? But that would be after my shift. And they said, you're going to call it the 5th. And I was like, why am I going to call it the 5th? And they're like, because it's going to be information from the 5th dimension. This is for people who are ready to shift into that vibration, who are at that vibration and are shifting into it. This is the information and the codes that are going to come through when you're doing this mentorship with them. And I was like, okay.
So let's do it.
So it all makes sense eventually, but sometimes we just don't know. And so when I go through stuff, I'll go, okay, I'll feel into this. What's this about? I'll have an awareness about it. Do I fully get all of it? I don't know. Sometimes I have no idea until I get to a place and I go, oh, that's why. That makes sense. So, but it's all about divine timing, right? I wasn't ready to fully receive it all. I wasn't there yet. And now I'm getting to that place where I'm almost there, I guess.
Yeah. And the numerological day thing, it's the 5th day of the 4th month of the 23rd year, right? So I thought it was going to be, oh no, this is a blooper. Da 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 da. I was like, it's like 5. 4, 3,
yes,
2,
Jessica.
1. Like,
but not quite.
But not actually. Very wow. Thanks for coming, Jess. You're so sweet. Good thing.
Jessica's brain has left the chat. Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I was so like, I can't wait to add this into the conversation. Oh no, that's okay. It's fine. But yes,
you know what? It's all right.
It's all good. It's all good.
So, back to Bev. We were chatting a bit about you, your courses, and we'll definitely dive into the membership and all that. So you've got this. So Brittany and I have done this course. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. There was like such a great way to experience a little bit of everything and kind of tuning in to your own gifts as well as being aware of others and getting a chance to practice on yourself and others as well. So you've got a new set rolling out right away here, and you've got current classes on. The newest one you've just opened up to virtual, which is amazing.
I did.
Which is like, I think that's phenomenal because like there's no excuses not to join, people, if you are wanting to do this, like last call. And I think when this airs this Saturday, which is the 26th, no, 25th. So your cutoff's the 20. When is your cutoff for?
First day should be the Sunday, the 26th. Then,
okay.
Right?
Oh, that's right. Okay. So it's like starting like right away. So like people.
But when you hear this, contact Bev. Put your name on the goddamn list.
Get your name on the goddamn list. Exactly.
And your money and start the course.
Exactly. So the ones that's coming up on the 26th here. Now that is for beginner and added. What is it? Is it just beginner?
It's just my intro course. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. This is like the starting place.
Beautiful.
So which I recommend for anybody. It's it doesn't matter what you do for a living or who you are, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's for literally every soul being.
Yeah.
Because it's just giving you an opportunity to understand yourself and on a different level, connect with yourself, understand your abilities, which everybody has.
Yeah.
And just, learning and experiencing what are more your dominant gifts, and then also experiencing on, on an energy level, doing some telepathy work, kind of tapping into that psychic awareness, and then diving into some mediumship. And so it kind of gives you a lot. I love to teach in every class, building from the bottom. It's like building a house. We have to start with the foundation, and then we just start to build our way up. And that's what I love to do, is like start somewhere and build. And so we start with the very basics in the very first class, and I'll teach in every class. However, you also then get to experience in every class. And I do keep my class sizes quite small, because I love to give my all to all my students. I don't like to feel like that I'm spread thin. That's not what I'm about. I love to and I also understand we're working with energy, but you also need to work with a couple of people, which is very beneficial to you. You can do these one-on-one. However, I always just say, best bang for your buck, you better work with somebody, because you need to experience and you need to work with other people's energy. However, I don't believe in having 15 in a class, because then it's like, that's very overwhelming. Even when I teach my Reiki program, it's the same thing. I teach them one-on-one, because that's just not my way, is to teach them in a group setting, unless I had like two students say that took my intro course or something that were like, we really want to take Reiki, but we really want to do it together. Would you do that? Absolutely. I'll do it for them. They'll work together, and that's okay. But I don't offer Reiki to like, here on a Sunday, I'm running this class or whatever. It's definitely a one-on-one. And it's because, again, what I've learned is that it's about their timing. It's their journey. I'm just the guide. So I'm not going to make it about my schedule. I'm not going to make it about my timing. It's your timing, because now I'm imposing on your free will. So now it's just kind of like, you let me know what works for you. Let's work one-on-one, so that you can really hone in on your own abilities and your own gifts, and really understand what it is that you're doing, because I want you to be set up as best as possible before you like start working with other people and their energy.
Exactly.
So even with that, it's a one-on-one. But in my intro course, my intermediate course, it's so fun. I just love intermediate so much. Not that I don't love intro. I love intro because it's the basics, and you're just starting to see it's like babies growing, and you're just like, and you just get to like see them go on this like exploring journey. Yes. And I love it so much. However, then I also love intermediate, because then I get to push them a little bit, out of their comfort zone.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You get to do a lot more. We get to really then build even more on top of what you've learned and experienced in intro. Yeah. So,
what's your favorite part of intermediate that you get to teach? So I'm sure everything's a highlight, but what is your favorite? They're like,
if I recall, you talk about tea leaf readings. You go further into mediumship. You don't do runes?
No, runes is not my thing.
Totally separate.
My thing.
Yeah.
Not for me.
No, totally.
That's fair.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's not my jam. It's not my energy, and that's fine. We go into auras or readings. I teach you how to read auras as well. We also do art readings.
That's so cool.
Which is a thing. And I don't know, they're all so fun, because we're introducing new things again.
Yeah.
They are also like how they were in intro. They're exploring new things, and then you get to watch them experience that and go like, oh my gosh, I had no idea that when I do art, like that's what I'm doing. Like I'm getting visions and I'm putting it on canvas. And it's like, and to see that unlock for them is like, then they're just like, oh my God, I found my niche, as opposed to being like, I don't know if mediumship's for me or whatever, right? It's just giving them another opportunity to expand even more.
Yeah.
And maybe it is teacup readings. Maybe that sparks something for them. You know, like my sister's Baba was also somebody that did teacup readings, tea leaf readings. So when I do them, I feel like I'm just like, I don't know, I feel like a little bit like connected to my Baba, and like I don't know, there's just something about it that makes me feel that way, and I love it. So
yeah,
it's just to see and feel everybody go through that. And also the homework in intermediate, they have homework. So there's the consistency. It's a have to. But that is like every week. But my students are always like, you know, but at the same time, they love it. And then when the course comes to an end, they're just like, I never want this to end. Like, I love doing my homework every week because it keeps me in tune with my abilities and like connected with my team, because it's like a have to thing.
Yes.
But when we don't have to do it, then we just kind of like, well, then we start doing things in life. And then some people feel like they kind of fall away from like their things, their rituals, or themselves, or whatever.
I think when we're like in your course, and like I felt like this in the beginners, it was like I was so easily able to like tap in to the feelings that I would get like presenting in class. I would like be able to just be like, okay, this is, you know, my steps to get there. And it's funny because I think about your meditation like daily. Do you know what I mean? When I'm like getting ready for bed, and I'm like, it's so funny because I'm like, oh, I should like check in with my team. I'm like, girl, it's like bedtime. Like, do we want to be doing up this? You know, do I want to be doing this? Like, I do want to, but I'm like, you know, I'm trying to like excuse it. But I've said this to Brittany before. I'm like, your meditations are so beautifully guided. Like that should be part of your course. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think you need to like how to write a meditation and how to like you need to do that. I think you got to do that. You know that I'm going to do it, but I'm going to need you to write them for me. You know, it's like, but like truly, it's like they are so you get exactly what you put into it, and I just like I love it. So that's my favorite part of the courses is the meditative part of that. It's so fantastic. You're very gifted, as I've already said.
For anyone that's listening, that
for
anyone that wants to hear the grounding meditation, it is on our podcast under Empath Sisters. It is on there, but that's the one I get my students to go through as a starting point. You can use it all the time, or if other things visually come to you and you change it, by all means, that's what I want you to do. We're all different in our own way. And so, I mean, it's something that you could definitely utilize. I've had a lot of people say to me that I have a certain voice. I don't know what it is about it. I never really
say you're just extra calming.
You're
extra calming.
I don't know what it is. I know that I went through a lot of vocal cord changes when I was starting to channel different people. And this was probably 5 years ago. I want to say now 4 years ago for sure. There was like a 2-year period where my vocal cords were being worked on. So when I talk about ascension symptoms of what you're going through, it was the same thing for me, but in my vocal cords. It was so annoying, honest to God, because it was constantly, I was having issues in my throat always, and all my vocal cords were changing. And then I started being able to channel and also trance different people. And so then the vocal cords are already there and in place for them. So I know when hypnotherapy came about, which was really cool, and I also really love, when I discovered that when I do hypnotherapy, is because this was something else that was guided to me to do to help people kind of getting to like more of like their root. When I started going into hypnosis, and I would start the very beginning of like the induction, I noticed that I totally channel in somebody else. And my voice completely changes. And people who listen to my recording will be like, that's you? It doesn't even sound like you. And I'm like, I know, because I totally channeled somebody else. And I swear that was one of the people that were meant to come through to do those kinds of like help or healing or changes in people's subconscious, like rewiring, whatever. I don't know, but that's what happens when I do that. So I don't know. So even maybe when I do my meditations or like anything that I'm guiding people through, that's probably something that just starts channeling through.
I love that.
So
that's so amazing. I love that. Definitely. Like definitely recommend it for those who are listening. Check out Empath Sisters and the meditative. But your audio is kind of funky right now. Is there something new happening on your side?
Just Grizzly growling, no honey. So
a little bit.
So like the normal stuff.
Nothing abnormal.
So that's
I was like,
typically what's interrupted.
It's okay. It's all good.
Whenever you hear a grumble,
awesome.
It's actually my dog.
Where's your microphone? In accordance to your face, where's your microphone?
I don't have. It's the computer.
Oh, cool beans. Okay, that's probably why.
Because I've had to adjust where I am in the house. The microphone is still in the office, and the laptop and everything else come with me.
Totally fine. I was just like, why does it sound so like choppy? But it was just like whenever you spoke, it was like, yeah. Sorry for the ears. Cool. Anyways, that's great. No, that's
but if we're going to talk about favorite things in the class, because Jessica and I haven't taken intermediate yet. That's definitely for our
I want to take intermediate so bad.
Yeah. In the beginner, which I think every beginner class is going to be different depending on what the group kind of feels like we want to do with them. But I was so lucky that in the class that I had taken, we were able to do a meditation to meet our spirit guide, and that was a game changer for me.
Yeah, I like that one. Hey,
I really did. I loved it a lot. And I was like,
loved it too.
I've known my spirit guides through the changes in my life, and I've known them to be different people. And when I had met that one at that time, it was just like, what the heck? Like, it was just so, it was like a whole other level of being connected. So yeah, I loved it. It was probably
amazing.
One of my favorite parts. Yeah,
I agree.
Well, that's so good.
Yeah. I feel like it sounds so awful like to forget the name of my spirit guide. I know I have her name in a book, in my book that like you gave us, but it's like, that's the one meditation that I'm like, I have to go through my, I walk past my water and down my path, and I try and like put myself back onto like the path and hearing the crunch of my feet walking, that's kind of my my rhythm to get into the space.
To get there.
And I'm like, but like it's like getting to the first door that I start to question, oh wait, was it blue? Was it, you know what I mean? I'm trying to like, is this the stuff that I do before bed? Because I choose that that's like my stuff. But do you know what I mean? Like, and then I'm like, oh, then the next door, and then the stairs. I'm like, oh my gosh, like what if I don't remember her name? What if I don't know? What if she's different? What if I am dreaming all of this?
Right.
It's like,
well,
again, it's Anyways,
if it's different, you'll just be meeting one of your other guides.
Totally.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's all.
I know.
It's not that you're going to meet the same guide over and over. You might, depending on whatever it is you're going through or you're learning or whatever they want to pass along to you. They might show up all the time, but you might also have one of your other guides that come through and visit you and hang out with you. And I don't know. And the whole point of like going through the path and the steps and all that is that it's very much like hypnosis in that sense of like being guided, going through visualization, and it's taking you into more of a trance state.
Yes.
That's where we go when we get into all of this, is that we kind of go into this other place. So when I'm doing, and for me, myself, I am kind of there all the time. I can be there, I can come in and out of it. And when I really am working with somebody, then I'm like fully engaging. When I'm invited into their space, then I'm totally like, I'm in that place. And most people have seen that on me, where I kind of like, I'm looking way over here, and I'm just in a whole nother like world looking like kind of that. So, and that's the whole purpose of like doing these is like guiding you and kind of pulling you into more of a trance state, which is like shifting and altering your consciousness so that you can get to that place where you can actually connect with that vibration. If that makes sense.
Oh God, it's like,
I love it.
Well, I'll have to record that one then.
You
That's
should.
what I'll do.
Please,
I'll record
definitely need
to. I'd love that. That'd be so good. Yes, I would totally love that.
I will never forget that class. I'll never forget the feelings I felt. I'll never forget what my guide looked like. I'll never forget the feelings that I felt. It was just like, it was such a pivotal moment of just like, holy shit, this is leveling up.
Exactly. It really helps. Like it like it was really like, I don't want to say satisfying, but it like quenched the thirst for me, because it was like, oh my, it would just open so many doors. It answered some questions, when you are so curious about all these things, but you don't know how to do it. Or again, for our listeners who are like still maybe just like branching into this, it's like they don't know how. They're not embarrassed, but do you know what I mean? It's like it's just so new territory like, where do you
Totally.
start? And I think that's like, I know, like, again, we talk about your course, we love it, and you have to do it, people.
Every
You gotta
episode.
freaking do it.
Every episode.
But it is like little things like these. It's like the keys are being provided
Yeah.
for you to put in the door. Do you know what I mean? And it's just like
Yeah.
as simple as, and we talk about meditation quite a bit here, and I know that that's like one of my, like, you know, things that I've got to commit to, but it's like you're given the opportunity and the space to explore it. And I think that's
Totally.
so special.
It's a safe space. And that's what I also know, is that like this can be very scary for a lot of people, especially at the very beginning. And that's why I recommend people to start at the very beginning. So then I know you got your foundation, and we can grow from there. But when we start at the beginning, I want to educate you so you don't have fears, because when you have fear, you can open yourself up to things that maybe you've heard, or this or that, or whatever your mind plays on, right? Or have seen, or, you know, whatever is creating you to like maybe not open up to that. And some people are afraid to even meditate because they're not really sure, where is it going to go? What is this person going to say? Like, you know, there's a lot of things that come up with meditation. And so it's, I mean, it's a great tool. It's a great tool, I swear, for people who are beginning, who want to start connecting in more with like your team or yourself, or coming into that place. Because it's not, I'm telling you, when you meditate, it's not going to be quiet.
No.
When you meditate, you're coming into a place where you're actually connecting with yourself, and you're going to hear yourself, and you're going to hear your team or whoever is there with you. But before you meditate, definitely set yourself up a safe space that you feel safe in. Right. And so making sure that you call your guides in of the highest vibration, or call your angels in, or whatever you believe in that is bringing you protection to be able to go into this place. If you feel apprehensive about opening yourself up to wherever you're going. Right. And I want to just like back up real quick to your comment you made about meditation for yourself. And I think you said something like, I'm going to get better at that, or something about
commit to, I need to like make it part of my daily, weekly practice. I feel like I need to, and I just like haven't created the time for myself to do it. Anyways, go on. Interrupt you.
Right. And so what I would say to that, I would say to any student that I have too, or client, is just that there is this like it's a great tool, and it's a great place to start and do all of those things too. However, I feel that it's been kind of put out there in society that it's just like, this is what you're supposed to do.
Yes.
You need to meditate every day, you know, and then what it does is it just creates a story in your mind where it's like, okay, well, I haven't meditated, so I'm not very good at it. Or I'm not this further along because I haven't been meditating. And it's like, oh my gosh, please don't do that to yourself.
No.
Like, now all you're doing is just putting like these negative energy on yourself, where it's just like, everything is meant to go with the flow. We're not supposed to really think about it. When you think about it, again, going back to the emotional state, you're getting in the way. And that's what we are already. So when you meditate, you're learning to get out of the way. You're learning to get your mind out of the way to come into your body. And so just listen to your body. If it's like, you're like, I want to meditate today, and you just get to go and do it. And I promise you, it'll probably be so much easier. Just because it's in alignment. It was just flowing, right? Where some people are like, oh, well, I schedule it, and then when I sit there and I do it at 7 a.m. every day, it's just frustrating. Because it's like, now my time is up and I got nothing done. And it's like, well, that's because it was forced. Like, you were in the way.
Exactly. It's like not on, it's on my wants list and not my to-do list. I'd love to allow that space and that flow to continue so that I can do that. Like, right now I'm on like a 3-minute, like, it's not very long, because I want to gift myself the time to do what I want to do in that 3 to 5 minutes, whatever I happen to do. But you're right.
Absolutely. And I love that you put it that way, of like, that's your gift to yourself. So don't make it like I have to. It's just like, I'm just going to do this. I'm going to pause for 5 minutes today. And whatever happens in that 5 minutes is what I'm supposed to receive. Because meditation isn't only in the form of just sitting and pausing and listening to a guided meditation or whatever. It's pulling cards for yourself. It's having your bath. It's going for your walk. It's when you're doing the dishes and you're zoning out, or you are
my
cooking,
favorite.
Right? Exactly. Right. You're just kind of like, I
call it putzing. Where I'm just like,
that's
da, 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 da.
exactly. Cleaning for me, that used to be one of the ways that I
Yeah.
would be communicating with my team. Because I totally am in my body, I'm doing my own thing, and I just like go into this whole place. And it's the
Yeah.
same as driving. The music can be on, but I'm totally talking to my team every single time I drive. Most of my downloads come in when I'm driving.
Oh, I
So
love
funny.
that. So if you see Bev driving, she's not.
I'm busy.
Very busy.
Don't wave.
Yeah.
She's not waving back.
She's not waiting. She's very busy. Exactly. She's got a full conversation going on.
Yeah, she's
There's
busy.
things happening here.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I just want people to know that there's different ways of meditation, and walking
Yeah.
is meditative and baking is meditative. It's whatever that you find that is so easy for you to be in your
Yeah.
body
Yeah.
is a form of meditation. So just know that you are doing probably different forms of meditation each day without even realizing. It's just the mind goes meditation. That's it. Like,
called
if
that,
you're
and
doing it
that's
or
it.
you're not
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it's black and white, you know.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh my gosh, it could be when you're riding your bike, or when you're on the paddleboard, or you're canoeing, or you're swimming, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally anything that puts you into that place.
I love that.
So,
I love that. I
don't
wish
know.
there was a better word than meditation, but all the other words I can think up of, like, they're all like, to everything else, right? It's like reflective, but you're, or like, but it's like,
What about like feeling connected?
Connection time.
Connecting.
One-on-one time with myself.
Connection time.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just reprogramming your brain to say that while you're doing this, you're like, this is my meditation.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
You could call it that if you wanted to.
Call it, exactly.
Yes.
You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I love that.
That's the best part. Meditation's not supposed to be full of rules.
Exactly.
That's right.
So I have one more question before we go on a card pulling. So my ascension period that I'm in, is there any can I have any hints as to where I'm going? You know what I mean?
You're coming back home.
I'm coming. Oh yeah.
That's
no, but Jamie, I'm
no,
like, because of course I'm like, I have what I would like, where I'd like my life to go, and like how it my on my next bucket, my list of things. But I hate. I have so many questions, and that's why I'm like, I need clarity. I'm like, do I always need clarity? Yes. So I'm going to ask it when I have the opportunity, if that's okay. Is there any indicators for myself? Obviously, I'm okay with the listeners hear this because it's, it's me, and they
gotta find out sooner or later.
Right? But is there, I don't know if there's any more as to where I'm going with this ascension. It's,
where you're going,
or what, you know
broad.
what I mean? What kind of ascension is it? Like,
you have to be more specific. You have to be like super specific.
Okay. I don't know.
Where are you going after this?
Or with this.
Just remember,
Yep.
it's a continuum.
Yeah.
Okay. You're always going to be growing.
Yes, totally.
You're always going to go through ascension symptoms.
Yeah. I guess as I don't know.
So there's no end.
No.
There will be you'll come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll be out of it, and then you'll come back in it.
Yeah.
Right. Because it's a continuum. So this is always going to happen, but you will come. So if you want to know when you're coming out of it, or do you want to know you have to trust and know that this is all happening for a reason, because it's leading you, whether it's for what you're going through right now is going to be very relevant in the next 3 months of your life, or in 6 months at that place when you get there. That this is all where this comes forward for you, or whether it's going to be all still part of the journey for the rest of the next 6 years until all of a sudden you go through another shift. Does that make sense? I know it's does. That's the bigger perspective of it. I'm just trying to pull you out of the limitations of what the mind is trying to do right now, and make it just it's just this thing.
Yeah. My brain is seeing it as oh, we're just going to get to the next. Do you know what I mean? And that's where my brain is oh, but once we get here, this is what happens here. I guess that's where my brain's that's right. What's going to be on the other side of this, or what's, past this. But you're right. It's I'm growing on to the next after that. I guess I'm such an inquisitive person as to what my future looks like, and not necessarily my future, but I'm one of those 30-year-old kids that I'm I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. I don't know what I want to, I've got so many questions about my own future that I'm I don't know. I guess it's what's my life purpose? What do I serve? What should I do?
As soon as Beth had said, this is my little download that I just got.
Yeah.
As soon as
So
Bev had said, what you're thinking of, what you're going through right now may be relevant for the next 3 months. All that came up was maybe you being sick is an opportunity. Sorry, my dogs. Maybe it's an opportunity to grow metaphysically and like create, how Nocturnus in Saskatoon has all those amazing like plants and herbs, and they make teas and stuff like that. They have all different reasons. It'd be interesting to see if that's where you go and you'd make teas for ailments using all of these fresh herbs and everything that you are able to find locally in Ireland.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, not necessarily spells and stuff, but like, it feels, I don't know, because I always keep telling Jessica that she just needs to open up a metaphysical shop, because I was like, I feel like that's where you're gonna go. You need to do that.
Yeah. Well, you'll definitely, that will probably feel really good for you vibrationally, and it would probably be really exciting and an alignment for you for sure.
Yeah.
I've, going back to what Brittany is saying is, it's to know that it's like this journey that you're on, and the reason why you went to Ireland is part of this shift for you. And there's going to be these catalyst moments that project you into what you're supposed to be doing if you're looking at it from a purpose place.
Yeah.
Just know that every day you're still leading a purpose. Your purpose is being a mother right now. Your purpose is tending to this or doing this or working on yourself or speaking your truth, hearing it, feeling it, knowing it, and then also like bringing opportunities for change and spreading your light amongst other people. I mean, we're constantly working, always. And this, you're just at the beginning of, really, if I had to look at it as like a scale, you're more at the beginning of where all of this is going. And you're just ready to get there. And your mind is thinking of it, it's like from A to B, and then we've arrived. Well, then you'll just stop growing. And so it's to know that I've had this journey. It's started, it's sparked, I'm here. And now look at all the things that you're going through, that you were constantly shifting your vibration while you're there. But it's unlayering so that this new vibration can come in, that you can start to step into that higher vibration of who you already signed up to be, that's in that timeline. And you're just bringing it into the 3D. But however, your 3D needs to clear some density in order for the new vibration to come in. This is why we release, and this is why we clear. We have to remove old in order for new to come in. And so your mind is only going to make it so limited, but it's beyond that. And your mind wants an answer of like, well, what's it going to be, and what am I going to become?
Logically.
Then you have not learned the lesson, because you have not been in the present moment. That's the whole point. Is be in the journey, Jess. Don't worry about when you're going to arrive or what it's going to look like when I arrive. You'll know when you get there, but you need to be present in the journey, and you will arrive and you will see it. But when you get there, and if you haven't been present, you're just prolonging it to happen. And you're going to have missed that whole journey. That's the whole point. Everybody that gets to a point, they're like, how does that feel? It's like, well, it was the journey. They always remember the journey, because that's what gets us to that place. If I look at where I am at in my life, in my business, I literally just said this morning. I was like, it's this journey that I've been on that is just, I look at it and go, wow, it's been truly amazing. Totally. The start of this, even my dad passing, being a catalyst for me, was huge. And I mean, even though I was spiritual pretty much my whole life and all the things, as most people know, when he passed in 2012, that was a huge catalyst for me. And I've had many since then throughout the journey, but I look back and go, wow, like, look where I am today. And I'm so grateful for that journey, because it's made me who I am today in this very moment, to be here with you both. And I wouldn't change that for anything. And so just be in it right now. Be excited, be happy that you're in ascension, that you are moving forward, that you're getting closer to where it is that it's leading you. And not just thinking that it has to be, when am I going to arrive?
Totally.
I don't know if that helps, but I feel that totally that's what you need to hear today.
It totally does. No, it really does help, because I think in our last reading, I did a reading with you and Shelly, and what did I say? I have always been curious to where my metaphysical gifts are going to go and how they're going to grow. And I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I think that's part of it is I just need to be in my moment and enjoy the getting there, and not forgetting that I'm in one of the most magical places, that my soul is thriving, And like, there's a lot happening here that I need to absorb and just enjoy while I have
Maybe the
Absolutely.
sickness will just keep slowing you down so you really get present.
Exactly. Oh, me and my doctor are like real tight now.
Yeah, best friends.
Well, and that's just it. You know, like I can't say that anyone has ever just arrived.
No, yeah. It doesn't just
Their
like
stories
switch.
are always their stories of how they got there and how it continues on. That's what people always share.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's like you are on this journey of continuously growing. And it's people always think it's going to be like a sonic boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you shift from 3D to 4D, all of a sudden it's just be the sonic boom, boom, you're there. And all of a sudden it's like so different. You don't even know what the hell's going on. Yeah. It's not like that. It is literally like growing hair and nails.
Yeah.
It's happening without you even realizing.
Yeah.
It's already happening.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening for you. It's already happening in the background.
Yeah.
It's just consciously, there isn't that awareness. The brain, like I said, think and feel, don't know. Yeah. On the feel aspect, it's happening. It's growing every single day.
Yeah.
Every experience that you have and everything you're doing every single day is leading you. It's growing that skin and nails and hair and all of that. But the mind doesn't understand that. It's like, oh, all of a sudden I get to this point, like, oh, I need a haircut or I need to trim my nails. Yeah. How did that happen? How did I get there so fast?
Exactly.
Well, because I was in the present moment and I was just embodying it.
Exactly. I wasn't watching my nails grow. I was enjoying my life.
It's all happening.
Yeah.
I love
it. I love it. I really do. I truly am. Oh, I'm just like, I'm knocking everything over. No, I think that's great. It is really, really good because it's still like the progression that my body or like that my mind wants to see. I just have to recognize it as growth and not as an ailment and not as a, anyways.
Totally.
So yeah.
And that's no different than taking the course. It's like, it's a practice.
Yeah.
Everything in life is a practice. So you just have to continue to practice using your abilities. So what is my purpose and where are my gifts going to take me? Well, you're not going to know until you get there because you have to continue to practice them in whatever ways that you feel called to each day, embodying that it will lead you. Because this person might say something and you go, oh, wow, that really speaks to me. And all of a sudden that's a sign that spirit is brought forward for you. And all of a sudden you start going down that rabbit hole. And then it leads you to something else. And then you keep practicing and it leads you to another one. And that's the journey.
Yeah. I love that.
I love it. I do too.
You're just the best. You're just the best. You're just the best.
You're the best. You're the best. I love hanging out with you both.
Oh, we feel the same way. Literally,
exactly.
Literally, I can.
Literally. I mean, yeah, exactly. As I'm like, this is literally. I feel like we're just happen to be recording, and I think that's the best part about this. Is like, well, it's like, oh, like, you know, listeners aside, like this is our true. This is what our conversations look like every time. I feel like, which is great.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah.
It didn't even feel like we're recording, except now that my ears are getting a little sore from my headphones. But that's the only thing, right? I feel like, but that's how I feel when I do readings anyway. I feel like there's like, I totally step out of time and space, right? Like you're just in this
you're
bubble.
just like here. Exactly. Yeah.
And you're just in it. And it's like, oh yeah, we have to come back to reality.
Exactly. Oh yeah. People are,
with all of our energy too, we're like, I feel like, well, we've talked about this many times, especially with the recent podcast that we did together too, is because the four of us and even the three of us are so connected, it just kind of goes.
We're
like
exactly.
In a different world.
We literally exactly. We should honestly. I thought about we should do like an Instagram live or like a YouTube live or something, just because
so fun.
Be like a one of a kind show.
Yeah.
Or yes, exactly. Yeah, there's lots of. I just love you guys, both of you.
Opportunity.
Yeah,
I love it.
Seriously.
I love it so much. And I'm just going to add one quick thing before you do your card pull.
Of course, honey. Yeah.
That both of you, I would say, you both are so ready to do mentorship in April. Like you wouldn't have to wait for intermediate. Like there are certain, like for anyone that is listening that has only taken intro and hasn't taken intermediate yet, there are some people that are just already ready. Yeah. Some people are there. That's just part of their journey. And they're at that place where they're ready to like step into that place.
Yeah.
Because they're there. And some people aren't ready for that. And that's okay. Yeah. So if you've ever taken intro and you haven't taken intermediate and you're very much on this growth journey and you are interested in my mentorship, then just reach out to me and let's have a conversation. And let's see if it's an alignment for you, because trust me, I'll be very honest with you. I'm always honest with people, and I'm not just, I don't just take people's money. I truly want you to benefit. That's the whole point. So if it's in alignment for you and it's timing for you, let me know. Let's have a chat.
That.
So
I
just wanted to say that. I didn't want you to think that you were at this place either, this limited place.
No,
you both, great. I feel, are so ready. I feel you're there. You would have no issues.
That's such a huge compliment to my soul. Because I'm like, I was like, again, like I'm so like self-conscious of my do you know what I mean? I'm like, but my gifts aren't like Brittany's, and they're not like, it's like
Jessica lectures herself every time. She's like, I'm just gonna say this and it's probably wrong, and I'm gonna feel like I'm lecturing.
Exactly. I don't know if this is gonna make sense. I know, but that's where I'm like, and Brittany's talked to me about it too. She's like, just talk to Bev. You might not have to, she'll just like let you know. And I'm like, I should talk to Bev. Okay. All right. But we'll chat. But I'm scared. I was scared.
You know what? Your gifts and abilities will never be like Brittany's.
No,
Brittany's
they
will
won't.
Never be like mine. Ours will always be different. And so you cannot let your mind come in and compare you to everybody else.
Exactly. Oh,
and
totally.
That was a huge lesson. That was a huge lesson when I took your Reiki class. I was like, well, I can't do it like you do. And you're not supposed to. I'm like,
you're not supposed to. Exactly. Oh, that makes sense.
That's right. I'm just here to teach you, be your guide, support you, mentor you, do all the things, but you're going to do it your own way. That's the beautiful thing. I want you to do it your own way.
Yeah.
That's what makes you so unique. That's your signature.
Exactly.
Those are
we're
your
not
codes,
cookie cutter.
Right?
Exactly.
I think everyone needs that reminder too, because I think people put having metaphysical gifts in just a small box, and they have to reach the goal of being inside that box with all those amazing other people, but not realizing that there isn't a box at all.
Exactly. Your gifts are not the same. Take the beginner classes and you'll learn all the things. Literally.
Freaking contact Bev.
Take the intro so that you can do some like higher up fifth stuff with me if that feels in alignment for you.
Exactly. If it feels right, guys, it's probably right. Okay, cool. All right.
We're gonna plug all of her things for hours.
I could talk forever.
We could all talk forever. It's great. So let's pull some cards if that's cool.
Go ahead. Let's hear it. Let's see if it's all in alignment with what was happening today.
Exactly.
Well, I chose a deck that I don't think I've pulled from since like the start of our season, which is ongoing.
Oh, okay.
But I chose my Animal Tarot deck, which is I never picked my Animal Tarot decks because Jessica has her spirit ones.
I was gonna do my spirit guide. Is that cool? Yeah, we'll just stick with that.
Yeah, whatever you want.
It's Animal Day. Let's do it.
When I keep thinking that Jessica's gonna pull a snake.
I was literally thinking snake too because of the shedding of the skin.
Sorry. Yeah, I know. Shedding. There's never any learning, Jessica. I'm sorry.
I know. And it's one of my least favorite cards as well. Do you know what I mean? That's the one I'm like, I don't like this card, but I pull it all the time. That's what I like. God, but it's a good card. Anyways. Yeah.
Gosh,
so I bet
that is so funny.
Okay, here we go. Got my card out. Okay. My card. Ooh. Oh, that's neat. Okay. I've got a seagull card.
Ooh.
I've never seen this card before.
That's neat.
So yeah, it's logical, truthful, curious, undiplomatic. This is an intellectual challenge that calls upon your ability to think of a matching solution. If helpful information is put to you bluntly, Jessica, accept the message. Accept the message without being bothered by the messenger.
I totally.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
This is why we don't pull before though, because it will influence the entire episode.
Yeah.
And knowing at the end, it's just like, oh frick, yeah, we're right on there. We're right.
Yeah, I know. You should at least try that once though. Just try it. Pull before and then see what happens.
Yeah, I told Brittany that like before you came on, I'm like, should we pull it beginning? I was like, no, because then I feel like sometimes it would look like we're altering the episode to fit the card. Do you know what I mean? Whereas like that's not the point of this. Okay, so collective Buffalo. Let's have a little look-see, and it's a pretty card. This is by Kim Cran's deck.
Oh, it's beautiful.
I love her stuff. And she just came out with a board game as well. Kim Krantz. I know. I'm like, what on earth? But I'm like excited to try it anyway.
Is it like a metaphysical board game?
It is, yeah. So she's a metaphysical artist. She's got The Wild Unknown is her like series or whichever. Okay. Grounded yet heavenly practical. Oh, sorry. I can't talk today. I can't do anything most days. Grounded yet heavenly, practical yet spiritual. The hooves of the mighty buffalo are grounded in earth. Yet its heart and mind rise towards heaven. The buffalo sees challenge, hardship, or a bump in the road as an opportunity for upliftment. Therefore, the buffalo does not fear death, illness, or misfortune. Its gentle eyes look to the road ahead, trusting every turn. May we all experience this elusive yet life-changing bliss from time to time, and may we allow this card to remind us that life is a precious gift. So when we're in balance, we are trusting, we are pure in presence. When we're out of balance, we're restless or lack gratitude. To bring into balance, prayer or bhakti. So,
So one quick extra note as I was going through the book here, just in case there was any
Yeah.
additional info.
Yeah.
It's so funny how this is like yelling at Jessica. It's just like, in your haste to solve a problem, you could speak more harshly than you mean to, or helpful information may be delivered to you in not the kindest ways. Check your contract very carefully and gratefully accept objective feedback.
Lovely.
Before we started, I believe before we started recording, we had talked about how Bev does contracts.
Yes.
And so there's a million things that Bev does, which is why you have to follow
I
her.
don't do a million.
Yeah. You do everything. There's endless possibilities. Bev's like, I can do that here.
Oh yeah,
we're good.
I'll send you some love. I'll send you some healing. Yeah, you will.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, girl.
I will.
Just destroying my place here. Yeah.
Oh,
I love that.
Totally.
Okay,
Totally.
so now we're gonna plug
that.
all of the amazing things that Bev does.
Yes.
So
okay.
Not only do you do all these amazing courses and mentorship membership, but you also do Reiki.
I do.
Chakra balancing. You do hypnotherapy. You will be shortly doing past life regression, I believe, for hypno, right?
Yeah, I already I call them soul regression.
Oh,
healing.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's using hypnotherapy. So it's regressing, but to soul level before you come in as an embryo into your mother's womb. I have experienced it, and it is one of the most amazing things that I have ever experienced. And also using that technique to also do past life, which I just also experienced for myself. I've done past life things for myself, like guided, and I've asked my team, why do I have this fear? Where does this come from? And have been shown a past life. However, one of my past lives that they've showed me of like one of my fears, it actually came in my session of the past life that came forward, which was the same husband that I have now was in that lifetime. It was all parallel. And it was so cool to see why I feel the way that I feel when my husband is away at work, how I feel like he is ripped away from me because I was actually, so my fear started. I mean, this could be a whole nother episode. This is going to go way too long.
You should write this down for Empath also.
Yeah, it's just a wild one. And it was just so amazing. And honestly, it's just so cool. And then it just does a lot of like healing on we work with the super conscious mind, which is whatever you consider, whether you're a higher self or your council or whatever. We deal with all of them. We do the councils, we go through meridians, we go through your chakras, all of it, and they just clear, and they'll only bring forward to your conscious mind what's going to help you in this lifetime that has been healed, and the rest of it will be cleared. So fantastic. It is amazing. And I'll also be doing birth chart readings too, starting March too. But those ones will all be virtual, so anybody can have those, so that I can show you and teach you your own birth chart.
Yeah,
that's how I'm going to read
so
them.
Amazing.
Yes, I love that. That's be so good.
So good things.
Yeah.
So where can everybody find you?
Yeah.
Well, definitely my website, Bev Lazar.
What's your website called? What's your handle for social media?
Oh my gosh. I am on just Instagram and Facebook. And honestly, I know my handle, but I don't want to say it wrong. I am on there, and I'm not on there. Brittany will know, and Brittany will share it.
I got you. So your handle,
she's got me.
That's it. Is spiritual_mentor_ Bev Lazar.
Got it. I think even if you search Bev Lazar, you most likely it'll come up anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, that's where you can find me. And all my info is on my website too. You can reach out to me, DM me if you have questions, whatever. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to, I'd be honored if I were to assist any of your followers on their journey. That would be That would be amazing.
Yeah. I hope that
Well,
people like understand that we truly mean that she's like a gift from God and she will help you.
Yeah.
Aw,
I shouldn't say that she will
both
help you,
of our
but
lives very much.
she will like, she's just, you're such a wonderful teacher. You just make
Thank you.
this scary little world we're in and entering and experiencing so much lighter. You're just wonderful. I love you so much. And I'll make sure that all of this will be in the show notes for you as well, for everybody who wants to check it out.
It's amazing.
Yeah. But you're our guide. You're our guide.
Yeah, you're ours first.
And
so
you are also guides on my journey, and I'm so grateful for that. So thank you so much for being in my life, being on my journey, for bringing me a lot of opportunity, and for also being on this podcast with you all today, and sharing whatever we shared with your listeners
whatever
today.
They got out of it. Exactly.
Whatever they were meant to hear. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure hopefully we can have you back.
Yes,
we'd love to do like a regular thing. Now we're like, we should have Bev, our resident badass, on to chat about, to give Jessica a verbal lashing on the air.
And everyone else get the next one.
No, there you go. There you go. Let's do it. Why not?
Why not?
I would be so honored to come back. There's so many stories I can share that haven't even been shared on Empath yet. So there's lots of I could write a book.
I'm sure, and maybe you should.
I will get there. This is not the time to write a book yet. So that's what I've been told.
Good to know.
So
good to know. There you go. Exactly.
Yes.
Right on.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so honored. So
thank you so much.
I send you all lots of love and light, and so much gratitude. Thank you.
Thank you.
And all of our listeners, you guys can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at Basic Banter for Witches, or you can email us any questions, concerns, or just want to say hi at basicbanterforwitches@gmail.com. So we love you guys. We did it.
Yeah,
we love these.
Love them too.
We will see you guys next week. Okay?
You betcha.
Okay.
All right,
love
guys.
you guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.